whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Nikki Medoro Show live on YouTube starting at noon Pacific. Thank you to everybody that's here even before the show begins. I hope you had a fabulous weekend. Still kind of freezing my booty off over here. But yeah, we're going to get it going. I know this weather, the whole term when it rains, it pours. You could just say that about the entire state of California. It's not done yet. We have so much more rain on the way. And I'm just going to apologize because it always rains when we move. And we are still trying to move because Mother Nature throwing down all this rain makes it extremely hard to get everything done. So I think once we're done moving, it'll stop raining. We're trying to get it done as quickly as possible. Very fun show coming up. We're going to talk about Ron DeSantis, who visited California. You know, just kind of the contradiction, I'll say, in that visit that Ron DeSantis had. Former President Trump, of course, may be running against Ron DeSantis. And so being the mature man he has come up with quite the nickname for Mr. Ron DeSantis. So we'll talk about that. Also, Trump's weighing in on the Conways getting divorced, which, you know, people always have their opinions about those things, but it's got to be difficult when you're in the public eye. And they've been married over 20 years, and it's one of those things like, how can you be so politically different and stay married for as long as they have? But it's obviously finally coming to an end. We'll talk a little bit about some celebrity marriages and engagements as well. I'll also have the video, if you haven't seen it yet, of the Bay Bridge lights going dark. It was pretty sad. It may not be the end of the lights, though. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. It is Women's History Month. And apparently the Raptors tried their best to address or honor Women's History Month. I'll play you some sound from their very quick social media campaign, and you guys tell me if it's offensive or not, all right? Also, in the second part of the show, we're going to get into this new scam. It's called Glue and Tap, and you need to be careful of Good Samaritans. Anybody that wants to be helpful at an ATM, tell them to kick rocks. I don't need your help. I'm a grown person. So yeah, there's a new scam going out there. On the other side of the country in New York, the mayor there is saying businesses stop requiring masks, but it has nothing to do with COVID or how Eric Adams feels about COVID. Also, Chris Rock is out with a new special. Did anybody see it? I have not seen it yet. My husband and I were trying to watch it. We were very busy this weekend. My daughter had cheerleading. She was back in cheer. It was her first competition, which was awesome. And so we were just busy. I do want to see it, but he did address the slap. And is Will Smith any closer in this week leading up to the Oscars of making amends with Chris Rock? It doesn't look like it. And so we'll get into all of that as well. But before we do that, as always, please click that thumbs up button right now. Just click it real quickly. You're on YouTube already, except for those of you that are on Facebook, of course. Hello. But please just click the thumbs up. It helps us out. My subscriber numbers have slowly been going up. I'd like them to go up a bit faster. So if you can click the thumbs up, it helps share the show with people that have never even heard of it. And then, of course, share the show with your friends and family. You can find links to some of our most recent shows at our show website, thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And there's also a Patreon there. If you want to become a Medorable, as I love to call you, and become a monthly subscriber, we would truly, truly appreciate it. We also have PayPal up. thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com is the email address. And can I just say, and I want to see if she's here yet. Is she here? I don't see her name. If Suanne is listening or watching, I first want to say happy birthday. Andreas, we weren't able to sing happy birthday to him, but if he shows up, let me know because we could do a belated happy birthday and sing happy birthday to Sue-Ann, who's a big supporter of the show. She made a huge donation on PayPal. Thank you from the bottom of our heart, Sue-Ann. If you're listening to this on replay or whatever, I really, truly appreciate you. So that's just a way of supporting us as well. And then, of course, you can pick up some merch. There's t-shirts, there's tote bags, there's cups. I do have my cup today. There you go. There's cups. There's all kinds of stuff. And I'm working on some new stuff. Actually, I'm late. I'm supposed to put it out this month. I'm trying to do stuff every single month to give you guys something else to show your love and support of the Nikki Medoro Show. So thank you to everybody. And of course, our founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, AAA tax deal, MoskowitzLLP.com. Hopefully Steve will join us in a little bit because it is tax season. I know a bunch of you still have questions about ERC. You might need some HR or accounting help. Steve's the guy to call, AAA tax deal or MoskowitzLLP.com. Okay, so Florida Governor Ron DeSantis visited Southern California. He went to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library because Republicans just love to use Ronald Reagan, as a backdrop to whatever nonsense they're spewing. So here's the thing. This is what I find to be extremely hypocritical, okay? On one hand, DeSantis loves to talk crap of California. Oh my God, they're the worst state in the world. And yet, your butt's over here because apparently Californians, even though they're in a loser state, are making money because you're coming in and begging for it. So I'm going to play a little bit of sound here. This is a report from KTLA TV on the visit of Ron DeSantis. And you guys tell me what you think about him coming up against both former President Donald Trump and Nikki Haley in 2024. Oh, hold on. Let's get this loud.
Compared to blue states like California.
And if you look over the last 4 years, we've witnessed a great American exodus from states governed by leftist politicians, imposing leftist ideology and delivering poor results. And you've seen massive gains in states like Florida, who are governing according to the tried and true principles that President Reagan held dear.
DeSantis hasn't officially announced a bid for president, but analysts say it's never too early to start feeling out donors who have big checkbooks.
Ron DeSantis is smart enough to know he's going to need to raise a lot of money from California, so it's better to get out here early and establish those relationships for when he needs it as 2023 slowly moves into 24 in the primary selection process.
A handful of protesters stood outside the Reagan Library. Someone also vandalized a sign at the entrance.
We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Our state is where woke goes to die.
Those listening lean into his ideology.
I love DeSantis' patriotism. He always talks about America first.
I think I've just seen the next president of the United States.
Should he run, DeSantis would go head-to-head with former President Donald Trump in the primary. Klink believes Trump fatigue could play a role in that outcome.
Voters don't want to relitigate the 2020 election. They want to move forward past 2024. And elections are supposed to be about the future, not about the past. So that's an advantage for DeSantis.
Let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. So, hi, and you did excellent on Mark Thompson's show today. So thanks. Good job. But, with DeSantis being in California, when I went to that KTLA report, it seems contradictory for DeSantis to stand up there and say, oh, everyone's leaving California in droves, blah, blah, blah. And yet here you are. We're doing so poorly that you're here looking for our deep pockets because we do make money here. But he was in it was obviously a very welcoming type of place. He was, he's America's first. It's just all of these echoes of former President Trump. Mm-hmm. And, maybe he's a little bit more palatable than Trump. Like you heard the one analysis there. There's a bit of Trump fatigue. Trump is just exhausting. You heard about his nickname for DeSantis, right?
DeSanctimonious?
No, there's a new one. It's now Tiny D.
Oh,
I mean, how immature. You can't call someone Tiny D because everyone's going to think about, obviously the male organ. And I just feel like, dude, how much more immature does this have to be? But yes, Trump is testing a new nickname like Tiny D and Meatball Ron.
Meatball Ron. You know, it's what's scary about Tiny D, DeSantis, whatever you want to call him, is that his policies are just as scary as Trump's. But he doesn't sound like such a caricature. He doesn't sound like such a, something that would be on a TV show, not in real life. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't sound so, I don't want to say he doesn't sound so stupid, but that's kind of where I'm going with this. He doesn't have the way of odd manner of speaking and the clips that are just so outrageously ridiculous that you can't be taken seriously. With DeSanctimonious little D DeSantis, you see what I'm saying? He's equally as scary, but even almost more so because he talks like a regular person. Like
kind of.
I mean,
yeah, there are some clips though that some people like John Oliver are replaying where kind of taking on the media. There was one clip that John Oliver recently played where he was, remember that old ad that he had when he was running for governor where he was acting like Top Gun. He was like in the fighter bomber jacket or whatever. Yeah, and it was a little bit ridiculous. And he's like, I'm going to take on the media. I'm going to fight back. And then John Oliver had the longer clip of this one interaction with a reporter where all she's trying to do is ask a question. He's like, are you going to ask a question? Very childlike. Very similar. But Kim, just for S and giggles, okay, I have to play you a little bit of John Oliver. And it has nothing to do with politics. This is totally immature. But if we're going to talk in the same breath as Tiny D, John Oliver, it actually was the Financial Times who did an interview with someone that I guess Ron DeSantis used to be friends with. And so this is a story that John Oliver was telling about Ron DeSantis. And I couldn't stop laughing about it. Hold on. Where is it? I can't believe I don't have it up right now. Hold on. Because it is so... Oh, no. Where did it go? It is
you look at it and I'll read some of these texts. Okay. Eric Kennedy writes, Ron DeFascist, that's a new nickname, is worse than Trump when taken on his own. Yeah. Also, I thought this was an interesting comment by Harry, who writes, see if I can get that up there. Yeah, California is doing so poorly. It's climbed from the world's 8th largest economy to the world's 5th. Vilma says it is DeSantis' palatability that makes him a little bit more dangerous. And John says, Tiny D, oh my God, Republican white men should not play the dozens. I'm not sure what the dozens is. You know what the dozens is? I don't know.
I mean, I just feel like Republicans need better candidates, in my opinion. Yeah. But this is the story. I have it up now. This is the story that John Oliver told. And I'm just cracking up. But you're trying to compare Trump and DeSantis. I think they are cut from the same cloth of, I only want to hear things that I want to hear. So here is the story from John Oliver.
Let's skip over his early life, the short version being he grew up in Florida, was a standout baseball player, and even got to the Little League World Series with his local team. He then went to Yale, then Harvard Law School, and subsequently joined the Navy as an attorney. Eventually, he married his wife, Casey, despite having the most bizarre dating tactic I have ever heard. According to a former classmate, DeSantis would apparently tell dates he liked Thai food, but pronounced it thigh. And if they corrected him, he would make up an excuse and leave because, quote, he didn't want a girlfriend who corrected him. And if that is true, wow. Just imagine being on that date. You're out at dinner and out of nowhere your date tells you that he really likes Thai food. And you think, wait, did he just call Thai food Thai food? I must have misheard. But then he goes on to say that he knows a great Thai food restaurant in the area, all while staring very intently at you, almost studying your reaction. So as politely as you can, you say, wait, do you mean Thai food? Like from Thailand? And then suddenly his face drops and he says, sorry, I forgot I have a doctor's appointment tonight. And he leaves, leaving you both with the check and the single greatest first date disaster story of all time.
I mean, that is so I mean, who knows if it's true? That was an interview with some of the apparently new Ron DeSantis.
Let's pretend it's true.
Okay, let's pretend. I like pretending that it's true because it's
let's go along with the story and let's say, yeah, that happened. So what he's saying is, I would rather have a subservient woman who won't correct me, even though she knows I'm very clearly wrong, than a woman who can stand up and speak truth and say, no, I think you got that wrong, who's not afraid to use her intelligence and her brain. That's what you're saying? You don't want a smart woman? So if you run for president, are you saying the woman you picked is an idiot?
Yeah.
Who, is afraid to stand up and speak up and say what's right? That's the woman you wanted to marry? All right.
Pretty much. I mean, and that's the whole thing is, and I'm not knocking Casey, his wife. I know nothing about Ron DeSantis, his wife. I'm not going to talk about their relationship. But if that story even has an inkling of truth, it says something about the type of politician he is. For Ron DeSantis to stand up in California and say, this is where woke goes to die, or whatever the Florida is where woke goes to die. And saying, left-leaning or liberal ideology, he's spewing an ideology. I mean, that's why he wanted to take over Disney World and all of those sorts of things, is because they're not falling in line with his ideology.
Right.
Now, again, as long as you're being honest about it, just sell what you're actually selling. But to come out to a state that you claim is failing because you want our money, because we're obviously not doing that poorly. And then saying, there's this left-leaning woke ideology when you yourself are promoting a don't say gay ideology, etc., is a bit rich, DeSantis, or Tiny D, as Trump wants to call you. John Slade was explaining the dozens, by the way. The dozens is where people talk about each other, rank on each other. The name came from slavery times when slaves were sold by the dozen. Or some slaves. I did not.
Thanks, John. Yeah, thanks for the knowledge. I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. It's just starting. This is just beginning. Eric's heard that thigh story before. I couldn't. I'm one of those people that if you keep saying a word wrong, I have to say
eventually. Something. But I mean, okay, so there's a difference between if someone says something grammatically incorrect in polite conversation. Maybe they're wrong, or they're mispronouncing a word, but you don't want to be rude about it. And what does it really matter if they say tomato, tomato? You just let it go and move on, right? You don't want to be the a-hole that's always like, actually, and let me correct you, blah, blah, blah. So is that what he's saying by doing the whole thigh food thing? Or is he really saying, I don't want a woman who's going to stand up and correct me and say, hey, wait a minute, and be my equal? Yeah. I don't know. I don't like it.
No,
I don't like it, Tiny D. I don't like it.
Exactly. Ron DeSantis, Trump's going to have a million of them, right? Like Lion Ted and all of these other ones, because that's his MO. And yes, exactly, John. Trump has the mental maturity of a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Which, in some circles, with some topics, and in some moods that I'm in, I love 15-year-old mentality. You guys know I have a very mature sense of humor at times. But
who doesn't enjoy calling DeSantis Tiny D? I mean, that's funny.
It was not my nickname, Kim. I'm making it abundantly clear. I didn't come up with it. Your possible next president of the United States. So what do you think about the Conways getting divorced, Kim? I mean,
that was a long time coming. Finally.
Yeah, you think so? I mean, on one hand, I like the idea of people of different political leanings being able to come together in marriage. On the other hand, with the amount of crap George Conway talked about Trump, who was his wife's boss, yeah, I saw it coming too. That's a tough one.
Well, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. They went through the whole Trump administration staying married. Yeah. How did that happen? Now you've got a problem? Now it's time to get divorced? Okay. They have 4 kids. That's the sad part, is that I know what it's like to be a child of divorced parents, and it's not easy to go through that. So I wish their kids the best of luck. But those two, it's hard to believe that they stuck through it, because she is just so nasty with her words. And I think at first there wasn't really much of a parting of political ideology. He was a Republican, right? He just wasn't a Trumper.
Yeah, he was like, he's a Lincoln Project. He's one of those people.
He's one of the founders of the Lincoln Project. Absolutely. So I would call him a thoughtful Republican. Not all Republicans are Trumpers.
Oh no, absolutely.
Not all Republicans are people that aren't reasonable and thoughtful and want the best for the country. They may be more conservative with some social things than perhaps you or I, but there are some thoughtful people out there that just happen to lean a different way, and that's fine. That's a difference between there's a difference between that type of thinking and the ugliness of Trump and the racism and all of that. That's a huge difference. And I love that he called it out. But I think he had to know that it was going to hurt his marriage when he started doing it. She says he got addicted to the attention after he started standing up and doing it. And he didn't shy away from the attention. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're both guilty of the exact same thing. The difference, of course, is Kellyanne Conway was supporting and defending straight up lies, or as she loves to call them, alternative facts of the former president. And I think it's easy. I don't think it's a low blow for her husband to call out the BS because there was so much of it being shoveled by the former administration. Portion says, how could anyone be married to Kellyanne Conway? Could you ever believe anything she said to you? I think she knew what she was doing. I think she knows what she was doing. I think it was based on a career advancement, name recognition. I mean, everybody knows who Kellyanne Conway is.
Yeah, but she's a liar. Her job was to go on television and spin stories, but she spun them so much where outright lies came out of her face. So I agree. How could you believe a word that came out of her mouth?
Trump says, congratulations to Kellyanne Conway on her divorce from her wacko husband. Free at last, she has finally gotten rid of the disgusting albatross around her neck. I'm surprised he used the word albatross. He's like, she's a great person and will now be free to lead the kind of life that she deserves. And it will be a great life without the extremely unattractive loser by her side. This is a possible president of the United States. This is how low the bar is that former President Trump says those things and we don't even bat an eye. That's a president, a former president saying that.
He has to get involved in everything. He couldn't have just kept his mouth shut on that. He couldn't have just been like, you know what? It's their divorce. It has nothing to do with me. I'll just let them do what they're going to do. And I'll just mum's the word on that. Nope. But no, he has to open his big trap and be ugly about it. Did you hear George Conway's?
Said that?
No, never.
If Biden was like, oh my God, if Melania and Donald Trump got divorced and Biden said, oh, now she's able to live a free life, free of that ugly, unattractive albatross around her neck. Can you imagine the uproar if Biden said something like that?
No, it's very low class to say those things. To come out with to denigrate someone else like that. I will say that George Conway came back with a pretty good remark in response. He said something about, I'll see you at the E. Jean Carroll trial next month.
Oh,
should be pretty good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. That's been going on for so long to get to this point. That'll be really interesting to see. Because remember, did you see, what was it, a month or so ago? I think during one of the interviews with Trump, he thought that a picture of E. Jean Carroll was from one of his ex-wives, Marla Maples. I think he thought it was Marla. He was like, oh yeah, that's my ex-wife. And they're like, no. Which proves that he did find her attractive because he felt that was actually his wife or his ex-wife. So I don't know, man.
I would argue that rape isn't about whether you find someone attractive. It's about power and control.
Not. But that's what he was saying. I would never rape her because I'm not attracted to her.
Yeah.
Jackass. Kind of on a lighter note, we're going to turn away from both big T and little d and all that kind of stuff. To talking about marriage, though.
Do we have to, Nikki? Is it must we?
Yes, please. It's just leaving an awful taste in my mouth, Kim McAllister. Mad Men star Jon Hamm got engaged. I want to show you a picture of him. Hold on. This is the woman that Jon Hamm is now engaged to. Oh, did I get rid of it? Anyways, this was okay. So he's getting married to this woman, Anna
Osceola. Yeah.
Osceola. I don't know who she is. Do you know who she is?
She was actually in Mad Men and
I never really watched the
scene.
show.
I really liked that show. Yeah, she was at like a kind of a hippie retreat. She was the receptionist. Didn't have a very big role in the show, but I guess that's where they met.
Okay.
What strikes me about this whole Jon Hamm getting married thing is he was with his previous girlfriend.
Right. This
for
one.
a really long time.
Yes.
For years and years and years.
That's his old girlfriend. 18 years, I think. 18 years.
And never married her.
No.
And then boom, they break up, starts dating this young woman, and next thing you know, marriage. So how do you feel if your girlfriend exhibit A there in the picture, you're like, you said you didn't believe in marriage. You said we didn't marriage was just a piece of paper. You didn't say, and now you're getting married to this girl.
That's her. There's Anna Osceola.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, and I'm not, and let me know in the comments, especially if you're maybe a little bit of an older gentleman. Is it a red flag if a man has gone this long without being married? Like he's been in long-term relationships, but never been married? Because I'm also thinking of someone like George Clooney, right? He was always that bachelor, I'll date, but I'm not getting married. Would you think that there was something wrong with somebody that wouldn't get married until they're in their 50s?
I mean, I guess the thing about men is they can have children at any time.
Well,
you know, so it's different for men than women. And I get that. Also, it's some type of status thing for men with money to have a younger wife or date a younger person. And okay, whatever. But I think they're missing out. And maybe this is just a middle-aged woman's perspective. They're missing out on that growing up together. They're missing out on that family together. They're missing out on having the grandkids together. She's going to live a lot longer than him.
Well, look at Alec Baldwin and his wife and all the kids that keep having.
Yeah.
Geez, please.
Eventually, she's going to be raising those kids on her own. I mean,
their nannies.
I feel like you missed out on something. Does that mean you shouldn't go ahead and have your family and do that?
Oh, no, of course not.
No, it doesn't. But, if that was your whole MO, like just to be the cool guy dating all these hot women, and then so you staved off marriage until you were in your 50s, I guess whatever you want. I don't know. Fine.
All right. Well, Brooklyn Beckham, David Beckham's son.
Yeah.
He is really loving the married life. Got a gigantic tattoo of his wife's face on him. There it is. What do you think of that tattoo? You see it right there? And that's his wife. I don't want anyone to get my face tattooed on their body ever.
No.
Because if it looks terrible, I'm going to be very unhappy. But that's quite the love display, don't you think?
Until you have to cover it up with a whole big colorful sleeve on, upon divorce.
You get hair on your arms, and then all of a sudden she has like a mustache and a 5 o'clock shadow or something like that. My brother has tattoos of I think, is it all of his kids? I know he has a picture of his wife's face. My brother does.
Okay.
I know he has a picture of his first daughter's face. I'm not quite sure if he did his other 2 kids. I should ask him.
Are they good? Are they good pictures, or is it like, oh no?
I will say this. I will say when he first got the tattoo of my niece, his first daughter, his first child, I didn't really like it. But then he had it touched up, and it looks much better. I still, you know what I mean? John writes, I still have regrets. Yeah, if he breaks up, he'll have
no regrets.
You always see these bad tattoos, and of somebody's face is very dangerous. Now, I'm looking at this picture. It seems what I like about it is there's not too much shadowing, because sometimes when you do face or like portrait tattoos, they do so much shading that unless you're looking at it real closely, it doesn't look very good. Right. But this also looks kind of like a pencil drawing. I don't know. I don't think it looks bad. And I don't think it's terrible of her. I think, you could definitely see the resemblance. I still wouldn't want it. I would be so freaking nervous that it would look terrible that I'm like, please don't do that. Because if I look awful or if hair starts growing on my tattoo, I would not like it. I
wonder if there's some in this and this. Okay, there's 2 ways this could go. Okay. Either you love this person so much, you want them to know that it goes beyond the marriage, that they're on you forever. That this is
Yes.
way to prove that
I
this is
love you.
in perpetuity, right? Or there's some type of unease there where you feel like you have to prove something to the
Ooh,
person. Like,
interesting.
see, you don't have to be jealous because I put you on my arm. So all the other ladies in the world know
No,
that's my
right.
wife right there. See, so it's like, and that's a problem because if that's why you're doing it, if you're doing it because there's some type of jealousy or unrest in the relationship, oh, well, enjoy
That's
that
a good
tattoo
point.
removal.
That's a good point. Yeah. And of course you don't know. I think he has, what did he say? He has Brooklyn Beckham has more than 20 tattoos that he says are dedicated to his wife. He says he's half covered in stuff just for her, adding that he got the first one pretty soon after they started dating. I don't know about you. If a guy started getting tattoos on his body after we just started dating, maybe it's because he's Brooklyn Beckham and she's like, hell yeah, he's obsessed with me. I wouldn't like that at all.
I would ask him, I would say, please stop that.
I can totally see.
Stop it. Stop it right now. As a matter of fact, here's a pamphlet about how to remove that crap.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's sweet, but there's really good temporary tattoos out there. Nowadays, it's not just the stickers you get out of the, vending machine at the arcade. There are companies that make very realistic tattoos. Let's do that first and then see how much we really love it. Okay, so coming up, I have the video. Did you see the video? It's kind of sad of the moment that the lights over the Bay Bridge went dark. I'll show you that video. I know it was really, I'll show you the news report because, well, on one hand, it's sad. And on the other hand, maybe just seeing it'll light a fire under some people with deep pockets to throw some money at the project to get them rebuilt or put back on. It is Women's History Month, Kim McAllister. I almost forgot, which is really sad of me as a woman. My children had to tell me. They're like, it's Women's History Month. I was like, no, it's not, is it? Like, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it is. But the Raptors apparently were trying to honor women. I'll play you the sound of it. It was very quick. It's like a 15-second thing that they did on social media. I don't know if there's a longer version, but I'll just play you that. You tell me, as women, Kim, we'll weigh in, and women and men can weigh in on the comments. If what they said was bad, or you just shouldn't have led with that. Because this is kind of the thing that I'm thinking. I'm like, it's not bad, but is this the only thing you could come up with? So I'll have that for you. Hoda from the Today Show has been gone, and I just want to play you sound of her explaining where she's been for the last several weeks because it echoes so many things with me in my own life. My daughter went to her first cheer competition. I'll give Kim McAllister an update on that. I was trying to upload pictures. For some reason, our StreamYard doesn't like pictures that come from my phone. So, unfortunately, I don't have pictures, but I will tell you how it went. And Kim McAllister, you will explain to me, as being a former cheerleader yourself,
right?
If my daughter's emotions about the whole thing are a bit valid. So I'll share that story coming up. And the second part of the show, we will also be discussing that scam, the glue and tap scam, which is ingenious. But if you've never heard of it, I learned about it. I put it in the story rundown. And then I immediately told my in-laws who were at my house when I was reading about this. And they were both like, really? And I was like, yeah, because there's something to keep in mind if you visit bank ATMs that I would have never realized had it not been for this scam making the news. So that's all coming up on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Okay, let's get right to the pictures because it's all about money, honey. That's right. Former Treasury Secretary warning of more painful economic times ahead. And I should mention this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. But speaking of money, speaking to CNN, Larry Summers predicted a recession will come at some stage as the Federal Reserve works to bring down inflation. He says the central bank will likely have to keep raising interest rates by more than expected to accomplish this goal. That is what we are in for. President Biden has concerns over controversial changes to the Washington, D.C. criminal code. The president is saying that the White House is saying that is why the president plans to sign a bill moving through Congress that would overturn those changes. The revisions put forward by the D.C. Council over the mayor's objections reduce the maximum penalties for crimes like carjackings and robberies at a time when critics say that crime is absolutely out of control. And this company back in the news again. It is Norfolk Southern. See if I can get the picture up there. The company Norfolk Southern says they will be paying millions to Pennsylvania fire companies and businesses affected by the East Palestine train derailment last month. Governor Josh Shapiro said he met with Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw last week and secured a commitment for financial aid. The money will be used to, looks like the money will be used, my screen is skipping around, to help with the ongoing cleanup in the areas near the Ohio border where that train derailment happened. And the House Speaker says the quality of candidates for the 2024 presidential election is actually pretty important. And that is House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. He says that, speaking on CNBC, that not having a Republican in the White House doesn't discourage him about the next election. He said it's the work his party is doing now that matters more than who ends up being the Republican nominee. It's all about me, me, me. A group of people arrested in Atlanta over the weekend for a violent protest at the construction site of a new public safety training center, facing a domestic terrorism charge. That, according to local jail records, activists organized a music festival to start a week of protesting against the center, but police say they threw rocks and bricks and Molotov cocktails at police officers there. Amazon says it is planning to close 8 of its Go cashierless convenience stores across 3 cities. That includes 2 in New York, 2 in Seattle, and 4 in San Francisco. In a statement, the online retail giant said the move was part of a periodic assessment of its portfolio. Amazon went on to say that it is committed to the format and plans on opening up more Go stores in the future. The first locations opened up back in 2018. And also, the Rachel Ray talk show is ending after 17 seasons in daytime syndication. Ray said she decided it was time to move on to the next exciting chapter in her broadcasting career and that her passions have evolved from talk show format now. The chef will now transition her time to the launch of a new production company called Free Food Studios. So that's what's happening with Rachel Ray.
Did you like Rachel Ray? I used to get her books a lot because I don't want to... I don't want to spend so much time cooking. And then I just realized I like to collect cookbooks and not cook that often. So
I don't not like her. I mean, she's got a great personality and she's fun. I just don't seek out cooking shows particularly.
My mom loves to cook. Yeah. I should be more of a chef. I just don't have time and, going to the grocery store and then buying everything. But my mom is like a gardener as well. So she has all the spices. And so it's really nice. And every time, she's always like, would you like me to give you this plant of peppers or whatever? And I go, no, just grow them for me. And then just give them to me because I do not have a green thumb at all because I forget to water everything. So
I'll take your peppers, but not your plant. Yeah. But that was 17 seasons. That was a really long run for her.
I mean, I remember living in Sacramento buying her cookbooks. Like that's it's been good run, Rachel. And we have obviously not been the last of her. So
well done, Rachel Ray. Well done. This is the report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, it's Steve Moskowitz, the one to the rescue, 888-TAX-DEAL, and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. All right. So what do we want to do? Do we want to say the sad Bay Lights or do you want to hear about the cheer competition? Which one do you want to do first?
Oh, that's really hard. I think Bay Lights is going to be really quick. So let's quickly Bay Light it and then get right into cheer.
Okay. So here is KTVU's report. And this is the moment that they do it. Where it all, hold on, let me turn the freaking music off. Hold on, let me turn this music off because I don't want to be distracted by it. Okay, so it's really sad. It really, really is. Because it was on the 10th anniversary, like the literal day. So here we go.
With the push of a button, the Bay Bridge went dark Sunday night.
There it is.
The Bay Lights, an art installation that twinkled on the western span for 10 years, turned off. The lights will now be taken down. Ben Davis, the founder and chief visionary officer with Illuminate, an arts nonprofit, said the display has been badly damaged by the harsh elements over the years.
The lights that are up there now are failing faster than we can keep them up.
Davis said they are raising money to bring the lights back, but it could take time. They need to secure $11 million to get the project off the ground.
And so, yeah, we talked about that on Friday, how they need that money and they're hoping that somebody will, they'll be able to raise it through gifts and what have you. And they also have to find lights that can put up with the bay and the weather and the everything, the extreme of being over the bay.
11 million.
11 million. That's a lot of money.
A lot of change for lights. Are they going to keep the lights up on the
Well, those,
tables?
I think those are just those are different. I think those are the ones that like light up for
right.
sense, but not the same as the ones that go down and
change, configuration. And sometimes there would be like every other one, and then they would do like from the bottom to the top, and it's cool. Yeah.
It was like 10 years. It's so funny when you think about it. You're like, oh, they've only been around for 10 years. I feel like they've always been there because it was such a big deal when it happens. Because I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, when they put the bay lights up, it was only supposed to be temporary. Right. And then all of a sudden everyone loved them so much that they got all this money to keep it going. So hopefully now when they plan the next round of lights, that it'll definitely be permanent. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So the cheer competition for my daughter.
Ready?
Weekend.
Okay, let's get it.
Ready? Okay. I'm so excited. I will tell you this, as someone who used to dance and compete in dance, it brought back so many memories for me. So I went up there. My husband had to stay home because we're still trying to do all this moving crap. So it was me and then my daughter's best friend, who's also in cheerleading, but not the same organization. She does it in Morgan Hill, came with me. And I felt like I had a mini Kim McAllister because I don't watch cheerleading. I don't know. That's the thing. When you watch something like this, you're like, I don't know, look good to me. Unless somebody falls.
Right.
I don't know what the hell.
It's like watching ice skating when you don't know what a triple sow cow is supposed to look like, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I have no idea. So my daughter's friend Emma was with me and we had a great time. And so every time we'd watch the performances, and I'll tell you this, it was quick. We got there. My daughter's my daughter had to be there by 11:15. She wasn't on stage until like 1:15. So we had some hours. I got there an hour early just in case. It was all the way in Sacramento. So I had to drive in the morning. And, watching all the little ones to the big ones was really awesome. And Emma kept saying, they're not stunting right. They're not holding her leg right. They didn't do this. They did do this well. And so it was really great. They got second. My daughter's team got second place.
That's great. Out of how many teams?
3.
Oh, that's still second. Yes.
So my daughter was very upset. And this is something that I think anybody that's been on a team, especially in cheerleading, knows. You may not mess up, but if somebody else messes up,
sure,
then, it weighs on you. And so she came off stage, Kim, and she was pissed.
Yeah.
And she was upset because something didn't land and somebody messed up, and she was really internalizing it all. And I'm like, look, this was your first competition. I was so excited for her. She smiled. She gave good face, which is like, you're not just standing there serious, like you're smiling, you're pouting, your mouth, all those sorts of things. And so she gave really good face, what her friend Emma was saying. Yeah. And so I was proud of her. And it was hard watching her be so disappointed. And then she's like, there's only 3. And I think because there were only 3, there was also a really good chance that they could have gotten first if obviously they didn't. Here's the thing, that the team that got in third, and I didn't know that this was a rule. One of the reasons they got third and they got dinged so bad, they stuck their tongues out during the performance. Did you know that was a rule, that you cannot stick your tongue out? I'm assuming they were being like, or something like that, like not teasing, but
I think I had heard that somewhere before. I think it's deemed too sexual a move.
Which was interesting that you say that, because it was also cheer and hip hop. And there were a couple of hip hop teams that were sticking their tongues out, but maybe because it's hip hop and it's not cheer, that it's okay. But yeah, they got dinged for that. And a lot of them are saying if they would have kept their tongues in their mouth, that maybe they would have gotten second place. Third.
Well, and look at it this way for Marley, that, and with her team, that yes, you're kind of dependent on what everyone else is going to do.
Right.
And when you're not stunting right, there's some safety issues there, right?
Right.
But I have to say that it's always a good learning experience for the team to go, okay, what were we doing wrong? We're professionally judged now on how were we not holding your foot right? How were we not throwing you right? What was it that they didn't like? And so now you have a kind of a list of things to go through and go, how can we get this better? Which is really valuable.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching the video. So then my dumbass, I'm sitting there. Okay. So there's an area for all the parents to stand, which is right in front of the stage. Right. But I got there so early. I got front row on the side where she was. And I'm like, I'm going to stay here. I can get a close up of her doing all of her stuff, because in the front, you're so far, there's a distance there.
Yeah.
And so I knew somebody else was going to take a video of it. So my dummy, I'm so stupid. And I do this more often than I care to admit. I'm sitting there and I've got my camera, but I'm making sure I'm watching. I have it positioned, but I want to watch it, right? As I'm watching it, and then it's over, like, yay, and I go down and I never hit freaking record. So I had nothing.
Oh.
I had none of the video of the side view.
We have any pictures to show? Can I see any photos
I was
of this
trying
event?
to. My phone will not. StreamYard, which is the system that we use to broadcast live, does not like pictures from my phone. Every time I try to put it in, it won't come up. So
okay, send it to me and I'll put it up. Email it to me.
Okay.
That's exciting though. Did you feel what I told you would happen when you walk into a cheer competition, that there's a buzz and like this excitement that just is crazy, that you were talking about? Well, it's, driving for 4 hours for like a 4-minute routine. Why can't they just do it by video? But there's this energy that happens at a cheerleading competition. That's it's unlike anything else.
It's very loud. My husband tried calling me. I'm going to include one of the professional pictures. I'm sending it to you right now because I love it. And she's not watching right now, so she won't kill me. Because there's another picture that I won't show you that I love, that she hates. It's giving good face and she can't stand it. So I'm emailing it to you right now. There, I sent it to you. But yeah, my husband tries calling me at the cheer competition. It was like in between sets. And I will tell you, they moved. It was one after the other. It was entertaining all the way through. And I'm like, you're never
hear. Yeah, there's no way he could hear. You could hear.
I was like, and he's like, can you make a phone call for me? I'm like, no. I was like, there's no talking. And he's like, yeah, I guess you can't do that right now. I'm like, no, I cannot. It was so much fun to watch. It was exciting to see my daughter, who's gone through so much the past like 6 months to a year, to be able to finally cheer again. And so I loved it. I was very, very proud of her. No, I am not a cheerleader, John. Who'd pay to see Nikki do a cheerleading round? So, oh, Mickey, you're so fun. You're so fun. You blow my head, Mickey. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. See, yeah, I know who it is. I don't think that the tongue thing I never noticed it with the other teams cheerleading. I guess it's a no-no. I guess there's rules. Emma, again, my guest cheerleading expert, said, yeah, you cannot. It's actually in the written rules that you cannot do it.
Well, and they should have known that,
Well, I think maybe they may have I'm assuming it wasn't part of the routine. Maybe it was just somebody getting really, really excited. And that's why they did it. I will say, I was also very impressed with the people that were watching. Oh, there it is. There's the picture. Why does your computer like StreamYard more than mine? So there's my daughter.
Yeah.
Look at her. She was so happy. But also pissed. I made her smile for that picture because she was very upset about the missed thing. But it is what it is. And it's also learning to be disappointed. But I'll also say, the whole cheer mom, dance mom kind of reputation.
Right.
Everyone around was so nice, especially getting seats and all those sorts of things. I thought for my first cheer mom competition, I had a great time. I thought that it was so much fun. We have to do it again this weekend because it does not stop. So, Kim, I used to do the same, put Vaseline on our teeth to keep us smiling.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to be careful of with the Vaseline that we always found is you have to use good lipstick. Otherwise, I'll start taking off the lipstick because Vaseline is a makeup remover. Oh, yes. I know. I love her. I absolutely love her. But yeah, she was given really, really good face. And I absolutely loved it. Did you get the other picture? There it is. So there she is stunting. She's the one in the middle on the bottom.
It's hard to see her. Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's the one that's looking up right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Not her on the top. She is definitely not a flyer. She's a back spot, as they say. I mean, I thought she did a really good job. I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I was like, yay, rah, rah, my kid. There you go. So yeah, after everything that she went through, I think that she did an amazing job and I was very proud of her. And so I said I'd give you the update and there you go.
Awesome. Great picture.
Yeah. And just to kind of on that note too, if any of you guys watched the Today Show, I don't know how many of you guys watched the Today Show. Hoda Kotb has been gone for several weeks. And she was on with Savannah Guthrie, her partner, and finally was addressing where she had been. And I'm telling you, my friend, it kind of reminded me of you and me. So here they are this morning addressing where Hoda had been.
Welcome to Today. It is nice to have you with us. And Hoda, it is nice to have you right back where you belong. It's been a tough couple weeks. You've been dealing with the health issue with your little daughter.
Yeah. My youngest, Hope, was in the ICU for a few days and in the hospital for a little more than a week. I'm so grateful she's home. Yeah. She is back home. I was waiting for that day to come, and we are watching her closely. I'm just so happy. And you know what I realized too, Savannah, is like when your child is ill, the amount of gratitude you can have for people who helped you out. So I'm grateful for the doctors at Weill Cornell who were amazing and the nurses. And I'm grateful to my family and I'm grateful to friends like you who were there every single day. So I want to say thank you for that. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you.
You have a lot of friends out there.
Thank you.
Who are right here with you, lifting you up and
good.
Hope too.
Okay.
Yeah, it just reminded me of, everything that I was going through in recent months. And I'm so glad that we seem to be turning a page on this.
Yeah.
But Kim, you were one of my big supporters and obviously not just with this show, but off air. And, and I just like watching that video just got me all emotional, but yeah, Hoda's back. And obviously there's prayers to her daughter, and Savannah, I think, got COVID and was out for a while. So
did she say what her daughter's going through? What was wrong or no?
I don't know what it was. She didn't. And I was looking on that article and it didn't seem, but ICU, I mean, in the ICU for a couple of days and then in the hospital for more than a week is serious. Something was going on.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's very scary. But, again, the support that you give. And I don't know. I just wanted to include that story simply because it's been a lot over the past several months in my household. And I appreciate all the support, not just from the listeners, but from Kim and all of the friends. And John, thank you for asking. She's doing well. I mean, that's why I wanted to talk about the cheer competition. I mean, to think that it's March 6th and 2 months ago, we were leading up to a surgery and she seems to be doing well. I will be a little late tomorrow. I should be here for the second part of the show. Kim McAllister is going to be holding down the fort. My daughter does have another infusions. We're doing this once a month. I would love to get it to every other month. But right now we're still at once a month. But we're starting earlier tomorrow. So hopefully I can, and now we're closer to the hospital since the move. So all of these things are kind of lining up that hopefully I'll be here for the second part of the show. Yeah. And we'll be there. But yeah, it takes a village, especially when you're going through so many things. And moms and women, we understand this.
That's right.
And I appreciate everybody out there. Speaking of women, it's Women's History Month. Okay. And apparently the Raptors, they didn't do such a good job honoring women on Women's History Month. So I'm going to play you the sound. So the video opens with this question, like why girls rule the world, why women rule the world, right? Like this is the saying, right? And so they asked some of the players, why do women rule the world? Here's a little bit of that ad. So listen to this.
Girls run the world because they're the only one that can procreate. They birth everybody. All women are great because they're all queens.
Okay, so they birth everybody, and they're the only ones that can procreate. Those were what they led with.
That's why we're great. So we're only good for our uteruses, our uteri. That's it.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. I used to get into this really funny conversation with one of my old friends.
Man.
And the joke was, and it was a guy, it was one of my good guy friends at the time. And the joke always was, women, and don't get on me, it's a joke, but we always get in this kind of debate. I go, women are just a little bit more special than men. I was like, I'm sorry, we birth children. You don't do that. We're just a little bit special. And it was a joke between all of us. So when I saw this ad for Women's History Month, I was cracking up because yes, we are the only ones that can give birth and we birth everybody. And I get that. But to lead with that, it just seemed a little, you couldn't come up with anything.
It's not, they're not real deep thinkers. I'm going to say that. They didn't really give it a lot of thought there into Women's History Month and what that means. And you would think, I have to say, and I'm sorry if it's going to be picked apart for racism, I'm apologizing ahead of that time. And usually if you have to apologize ahead of time, you probably shouldn't say it. But I'm doing it anyway, because you would think that players of different races, especially with Black History Month in February that we just passed, would get what a certain history month representing a certain group of people is about.
Yeah.
Right. So if we all learn about white male history, right? We learn about the founding fathers. We learn about what happens in wars, and we learn about what all these things in history and kings and land disputes and all the history of the world, but usually from a male perspective and not a male of color perspective. Then you would think that when it's Women's History Month, the focus would be on what have women done for us in history. And if the only thing you can think of, not what women have contributed, what they've developed, what they've innovated, what
they've contributed to society. Yes.
If the only thing you can think of is they have babies, your mama didn't do a good job. No.
And they went all the way back to Eve. See, that's what they went all the way back in history, all the way to Eve. And it's ridiculous. What's funny is somebody made an excellent point. They're like, how are these the responses they chose to run? How bad are the others? Like,
that's a totally good point. Who said that? John Smith?
No, yeah, exactly. That was so funny.
That's hilarious. Oh my God.
I mean,
I'd like to see the rest of them just on a blooper reel,
Yeah. Now, some people are like, offended by the backlash. They're like, imagine pretending to be offended by this. It's the truth. They're offended. They said Toronto Sun said it was not inclusive because it acknowledged women give birth. They're still pretending men can birth a child because #inclusivity, #equity. And I wasn't seeing it like that at all.
No.
I was just saying it as, like you were saying, women have contributed a lot throughout history besides just giving birth. We have, and that is, it's something that makes us just a little more special, as I love to say, but we've done a hell of a lot more than that. So happy Women's History Month, everybody. It's there you go. And I don't think this has to do with education. A lot of you, John and others, are talking about, how much education do these kids have? I will also blame the agency that puts this kind of ad campaign on. Feed them lines. Like, how hard is that? You know what? Talk about this woman and that woman. And
hey, I mean, here's a book with 20 pages of women who have done things wonderfully in the world. Why don't you take a look at it and pick the one you like and talk a little bit about whoever she may be?
I mean, Jesus.
Did she develop X-rays? Did she, I don't know, was she the first woman in space? Was she, what did she do besides have a baby?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's helping send men to the moon. I mean, all of these things we should be able to freaking pull off the top of our head of what women in history have done, besides the fact that, they give birth. The easiest answer you could possibly give on what makes women special. Thank you. Thank you very much about that. But good on you, Raptors. Good on you. Okay, we're coming up on the top of the hour, so we'll do a little bit of news. But when we come back, I swear I was sitting at my dinner table the other night, and I'm always prepping for the show, and I'm reading this article. Calvin Wong, you're like a producer on this show, sends me so many news articles, and he sends me one that says there's this new scam at an ATM, and it was. I want to say mind-blowing simply because I didn't know that this happens when you do something that so many more people are doing nowadays with the new debit bank cards type of thing. And so I'll tell you about this glue and tap scam. And it really just reminds us all to watch out for good Samaritans. And I'm putting good Samaritans in quotes, because if someone's just trying to help you out, and it sucks to say something like that, right? You want to just believe that everybody does things out of the goodness of their heart, but they're not doing that. Back east, New York's mayor, Eric Adams, is telling businesses you should have a no mask to enter policy, and it does not have to do with COVID. So, and I'll ask you how you feel about that. There are some lies in the restaurant world that shouldn't surprise you, but are apparently surprising a lot of people online. It's been going viral. And then before we wrap up the show, talking about some movies, some specials that have been released, including Chris Rock's new special, where he is finally fully addressing the slap in this week leading up to the Oscars. The Oscars are this weekend. Will Smith is not allowed to go to the Oscars. Really curious if there are going to be any jokes about the Oscars. Who is it? Who's hosting the Oscars this year? Is it Jimmy Kimmel? I think Jimmy Kimmel's doing it again, right? I think I might be right. I'll Google that. I think Jimmy Kimmel's doing it again. But before we do Kim's news, please click that thumbs up button. It helps support the show. I'm going to give some shout outs. Also, if you want to donate to the super chat, please do. We'll read your comments. We'll shout out your name right after Kim's news, and you can donate even if you're watching the replay or during it live. Our PayPal is up and running. I want to say again, a very happy birthday to Sue-Ann, who made a very generous PayPal donation this morning. She made a very generous PayPal donation in honor of what Andreas does on his birthday. We weren't able to get Andreas on Friday, but a happy belated birthday to Andreas if he is able to watch. I know he's been going through a lot with his mom and his dad. And so our hearts and prayers go out to Andreas, and a big thank you to Sue-Ann for her donation. Become a Medorable. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is where you go to become a monthly subscriber to our Patreon and to share the links of our past shows with all of your family and friends. Because like I mentioned at the top of the show, our subscriber numbers are slowly going up, but I want to get more of them up there. And that requires all of you to share the show with your family and friends, because word of mouth is how we're getting the show growing and sustainable.
First of all, thank you to Sue-Ann. So awesome. And happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Also, you know what's going up hugely, bigly, is the number of people that listen on podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was sharing that as well, because sometimes you want to just listen to the show, and it's easier for you just to take me in your pocket and put it in there. I'll tell you, ever since I cut the cord on DirecTV, I keep my phone in my pocket and I'm not watching TV. I'm listening to it. So if that's something that you do because you're doing chores or you're walking around the neighborhood or whatever,
or you're driving and you miss us on the radio, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Download it and go.
It's on all of the podcast apps, iTunes, and those sorts of things. So, and also if you subscribe to the YouTube show, you can still subscribe to the podcast and help our numbers grow that way. So any of the support you guys can give, we really, really do appreciate it. All right, Kim's news, and then we'll talk about the glue and tap scam next.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's start with the snow. How about this? This is a picture in Truckee where the UPS guy's trying to get to the door. Whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot of snow. Whoa. Yeah, it's going to take you a while to make your delivery.
Slide down? I mean, like, how the hell did he get right there?
You got to have special boots. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Hope he's got hot coffee in the truck.
That's my heart.
But yes, but it's even worse in apparently Southern California. They're not used to snow like some of the folks in the Sierra are. And there are people in Southern California waiting to be rescued after 2 strong snowstorms trapped them in their homes for several days. Mountain residents in San Bernardino County are still cut off because of several feet of snow. Officials warn another storm could hit the area. Some people have dwindling supplies. The local grocery store in one town collapsed under the weight of snow. The local sheriff warning it could be another week before they're able to reach everyone and dig people out and get people to safety. There's a mobile home park called Sierra Springs. It's in Bass Lake. They had to leave. The Madera County Sheriff's Office issued this evacuation order Sunday because of concerns that thick, heavy snow could collapse roofs. You say roofs or roofs with a V? I don't know. The sheriff's office, you say roofs? Roofs? It's not roofs like hooves. I always get that.
I say hooves.
It's hooves.
Roof. I don't know. I mean, I got an accent sometimes, so who knows? I don't know.
The sheriff's office said on their Facebook page that they are tending to everyone that is asking for help. There's an evacuation center set up at the Oakhurst Community Center for people that are trapped. And in the Sierra, it has been so busy with people trying to get up to the snow, even though the CHP said don't do it. People do it anyway, that apparently, the folks on the side of the road where you can stop and they'll put chains on your car, they are inundated with people. They say it is, there's so many people that want chains, they can't get to them all. They say they've been deluged with calls for assistance. More than 300 customers in 3 days asking for chains with Tahoe chain installers. He said it's been crazy. People are super unprepared. When they tell you there's a storm warning, take it very seriously because it gets really, really bad up here. This person, Alexis Lamas, runs Tahoe chain installers, telling SF Gate, listen, when you've got to be on your tippy toes at all times, you got to be very aware of what's going on. It takes just a second for someone to slide out. Yeah. And that it's been absolutely crazy. He says people are typically, his customers are people stranded on the highway or vacationers who realize they won't be able to make it up to their rental homes. When he arrives to install chains, the process is quick, but the work, he said, it's not easy. It can be really treacherous. So
yeah, I know someone that lives down the street from my parents' house. They went not during kind of the break in the storms up to the snow. And she was saying that her husband, who doesn't work for a chain company, but puts on chains, I guess easily, knows how to do it, was helping so many people. But she was saying the same thing. She's like, dude, you guys need to know how to put on your own chains. My husband was helping so many people because he's a good Samaritan, but the amount of people have no idea what they're doing.
No idea.
I'm
the first one to raise my hand and admit I am a native Californian from the Bay Area. I would have zero clue how to put chains on a vehicle. Now, my husband grew up in Michigan, so he'd be the guy helping everybody else out on the side of the road because if you grew up in the snow, you kind of learn how to do those things, right?
Right. I mean, I've put them on a couple of times. I've looked at them. I think I could figure it out. I wouldn't want to. I hate being cold. The minute I was out there and I had to take my gloves off to do anything, like somebody was mentioning, why doesn't the UPS driver have gloves on? I hate being cold. I'm aggravated when I'm cold. And so I wouldn't want to, I don't think I'd have the patience to do it. But if I had to, if I was by myself, I'd figure it out. I could totally.
Well, you see people that, misapply their chains and one comes off and then it whacks it's whackety. And
you need to know how to lock them on and roll them on and all those sorts of things.
Okay, let's go to Ohio. There's a congressman from Indiana who wants to stop shipments of waste from the Ohio train derailment coming through his state. At least 3 shipments have already arrived at a storage facility in Putnam County, west of Indianapolis. Now Republican Jim Baird wants the deliveries paused so crews can test exactly what hazardous materials are in them. What is it that they're bringing through? They don't want that. Alex Murdaugh, of course, spent the first weekend in what will be the rest of his natural life behind bars. The disbarred, once wealthy South Carolina lawyer found guilty of murder and weapons charges Thursday night in connection with the 2021 deaths of his wife and son, maintained his innocence throughout the proceedings. Yeah, now he's in jail. The Transportation Department is taking steps to make flying smoother for families that are traveling with children 13 and younger. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying the department rolled out an online dashboard that will allow passengers to see which airlines will seat kids with an accompanying adult without any extra cost involved. Hard to believe you have to pay to sit next to your minor child, right?
I'd be like, sorry, you can take my kid. I'm going to go sit in class. Okay, thanks. Thanks for the free babysitting. Bye.
Enjoy. Yeah. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said in a statement, parents traveling with young kids should be able to sit together without an airline forcing them to pay junk fees, saying his department has been urging all airlines to make those guarantees. Senator John Fetterman is working while he recovers at Walter Reed Medical Center. His chief of staff posted photos on Twitter of the Pennsylvania Democrat working. Fetterman hospitalized last month for depression. According to Adam Jentison, he spent Monday morning discussing rail safety legislation, the Farm Bill, and other Senate matters. He says Fetterman is recovering well and passing along how grateful he is for all the well wishes. Here is a record that I don't think I would be able or even ever want to attempt. A University of South Florida employee is trying to set a world record. The school announced Associate Professor Joseph Dituri wants to live underwater for 100 days. The 55-year-old is living 30 feet below sea level in Key Largo at Jules Undersea Lodge. It's where 2 Tennessee professors set the current record of 73 days in 2014. Dituri wants to do more than just set a record, though. He says he wants to see if being exposed to increased pressure will lead to health improvements that could offset aging. Dituri says he suspects the cure to many diseases can be found in undiscovered organisms in the ocean.
Interesting. So when he says live, what does that mean? Like, is there a place where he's going to be able to take off his scuba gear? Or, I mean, what is that? Is he going to be like that one character from SpongeBob that just has the oxygen helmet on?
Pineapple under the sea, SpongeBob
How do you live underwater? I don't understand what I think the whole word live is confusing to me. So do they give any details of what his life is going to be like?
So it looks like the living space is about 8 feet in diameter and 13 feet long. It's a 100 square foot habitat with a great view and a window, but it looks like you're kind of in a giant suit almost.
So you have to keep the suit on the whole time.
Kind of. It looks like that's the case. A medical team will dive into his habitat throughout the journey for medical checks before and after. He's got psychological, psychosocial, medical tests, blood panels, ultrasounds. They're doing the works on him. The facility is situated, this 8-foot long, I guess it's a little room. Okay. It's situated 30 feet beneath the surface. It was originally a marine research lab, and it was converted into an underwater hotel in 1986. Okay. So he's going to stay there through June, and he's going to be teaching his high school and college classes online while he does it from under the sea. And he's going to test some new technologies like artificial intelligence, screening a human body for illness to determine if any medications are needed. Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm looking up this website for this Jules Underwater Sea Park.
Hotel?
Jules Undersea Lodge. Okay. That's where apparently he's staying. Do you know, Kim, that media visits to the lodge are available for a hefty price tag? 2 overnight media guests, $2,400. $3,600 if you want 3 overnight media guests, $4,700. Can we write that off on our taxes?
Should we go? Should we go stay in the underwater sea hotel?
I mean, I don't know. On one hand, I think it would be really cool, like a cool experience for a couple of days. I don't know. What did you say the record is? How long he wants to stay under there?
It's 78 days, and he wants to stay more than 100.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Living underwater for more than 100 days.
Well, I mean, if we can make some discoveries, especially about, solving illnesses and things like that, and he wants to do it. All right.
It's 100 square foot habitat, 2/1000 of a league under the sea. He'll live in isolation for the duration of the mission. He's calling it Neptune 100.
Well, good luck. There you go.
Yeah. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has brought his knowledge to help individuals and businesses. So whatever kind of situation you find yourself in tax-wise, Steve Moskowitz is the one to call. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL. He is also at MoskowitzLLP.com. And I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Get to it, shall we? Let's talk about the latest scam. So I'm sitting around the table a couple days ago. It was Saturday. And I'm preparing for the show. and I see this news report about this new ATM scam.
Okay.
I'm going to show you the ABC7 news report because they actually talked to a woman who had been scammed. And so this is how you have to watch out for it, okay? Because, you know, it sucks to say this. It sucks to say people aren't nice anymore. People just walking by and giving you some sort of assistance. Be aware, okay? People, just be aware. So here is how it happens.
Using the ATM machine on the right.
Pamela Bongiorno shows how she got scammed at this ATM.
I went out to go use the machine on the right. I inserted my card. It didn't work.
Then a man in line offered advice.
The fellow that was on the sidewalk came up and said, "Oh, if you have the chip in your card, you can tap it."
So Pamela tapped her card. This time it worked. She got her cash, thanked the man, and walked off.
The next morning, I looked at my bank account.
To her shock, Pamela saw 3 more withdrawals from her account. $940 was gone.
I said, that guy scammed me at the ATM machine.
I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was just using the ATM.
The same thing happened to Rob Bell at the same ATM. When the card reader didn't work, a man leaned in.
That person said, "Oh, there's a problem with the slot function. You have to use the tap function."
So Rob tapped his card, took his cash, and walked off. Later, he found 2 accounts had been drained. $565 gone.
My initial reaction was, wait a second, I definitely did not withdraw that much money. I have no need for $1,000 cash.
Justin Sindelar tapped his Apple Watch at that ATM and withdrew $40. Later, he found 5 more withdrawals in a row. $960 was gone.
So I think someone walked up to the ATM right after I used it and then withdrew money from the account again.
So there is something that you need to pay attention to right now, because this is the part that I didn't realize you need to do if you tap to get into your account. So pay attention.
Okay.
Complained to the bank manager.
She said, "I've reported this to the police. You know, it's happening up and down Mission Street."
The manager told Pamela how the scam works. It starts with glue.
They put glue in the card reader of the ATM machines, so you can't use your cards.
So customers tap their card instead. And here's the trick. When you tap, the account remains open for more transactions unless the customer proactively logs out. Some customers don't know this, but scammers do. They wait for the victim to leave, then walk up and continue making withdrawals on their account. All 3 victims filed a fraud claim with Chase Bank. All 3 were denied.
And then, of course, Michael Finney got in there and they got some of their money back. Yeah,
I miss Michael Finney. He's such an awesome guy.
And,
yeah,
you know, honestly, he has quite the influence on some of these agencies because they don't want it. But did you know that? Because I know when I go to the bank, when I put my card in, when my card is in, before they give it back to me, they ask me, "Do you want anything else?" And then they normally ask me for my PIN again.
Right.
But with the tap function, I think that's a flaw on the bank security that they don't ask for your PIN again if you want to do another transaction, even if you did tap, because I feel like tapping is way easier for people to do. The other thing is, like, when you go to the gas station and you put your card in or you tap it, or I don't know about tapping because I always put my card in, but if you put your card in and then it says bypass PIN because you don't have a PIN,
yeah,
they'll just let you do it and still give you your gas. And
so
I go, what security
that's crazy. That is not security at all.
No, it is not. And so you guys have to be mindful. I don't do the tap except when I'm when I'm in the grocery store or something like that, and I get a receipt and I know the transaction. I never use the tap feature at a gas station or the bank.
Can I tell you something embarrassing?
Please. I love it. Please.
I didn't even know that tap was an option until Julia grabbed my card one day and she's like, "Mom, just do this."
I was behind on all that. Yeah. I just started.
I had no
tapping.
idea. I'm like slide, shove. I didn't know the tap was. Julia had to teach me that the tap was an option. So there you go.
The tap is nice. It's convenient. Ever since I educated myself, my husband always laughed at me because I made it a lot harder than it is. I also just learned how to use my phone to pay for things, Kim.
I have to say though, I'm pretty good at always clicking like ending a transaction. So I heard that one of the ways, and it may be something similar, one of the ways that people can scam you or get some information, and this might be hearsay and not rooted in reality, is that when you're at a gas pump, if you don't hit clear at the end of your thing, that some of your information could, linger. So I always make sure at the end of the transaction when they're like, do you want a car wash? No. Do you want this? No.
Oh yeah,
And
going
then,
all the way through.
and at the very end, before I walk away, I hit the clear button a couple times and walk away. Now, maybe I could be an idiot, but I heard that was the right thing to do. So
Hey, better safe than sorry. What does it take to go like this a couple of times, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not that hard. Kim says, yeah, I'm going to log into all my accounts right now to see if there are any illegitimate charges.
Yeah.
Do it. I mean, it's crazy that the banks, and then Michael Finney had to step in because they're saying, no, these are legitimate charges. You kept doing it.
Yeah.
But somebody else was saying in the chat, yeah, John, don't most ATM cameras photograph and ID the scammers? I would assume so. Don't you know that I walk away?
Scammer, you probably have a hat, so it can only see the bill of your hat. You probably know like how to hold your head, how to get away with it.
Probably. But on that note, on covering up your face, let's go to New York. So New York Mayor Eric Adams has come out and said he no longer wants people to, or at least businesses, to require that people wear masks while going in. And you might be saying, oh, he's over COVID or what have you. It has to do with crime in the city. Here's New York Mayor Eric Adams.
We are putting out a clear call to all of our shops. Do not allow people to enter the store without taking off their face mask. And then once they're inside, they can continue to wear if they so desire to do so. But we need to use the technology we have available to identify those shoplifters and those who are committing serious crimes. When you see these mask-wearing people, oftentimes it's not about being fearful of the pandemic, it's fearful of the police catching them for their deeds, and we're really putting the call out.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, he has a point. The joke was made early on in the pandemic. You're going to wear a mask going into a bank. Everyone's going to think that you're robbing the place. But now that masks have become so common to see, they're being exploited, obviously, by thieves and robbers who are using it. They won't be identified. They don't fear about being on the camera because they know their face is going to be covered. So basically what Mayor Adams is saying is don't let anyone in. They have to pull down their mask to be seen by the security cameras. Then you can put your mask back on if you want to wear it to protect you against COVID or what have you. But that's it. I think it's smart in all honesty. I mean, I think that you should still wear a mask, especially if you're showing symptoms of anything, COVID, the flu, whatever. But as a business, we know how much shoplifting and those things can take a toll on just the economy. Look what San Francisco has been going through as it tries to come out of the pandemic. San Francisco is one of the slowest cities to get their economy back up and running. And it's because of a lot of the bad press about crime and things like that. And of course, also the remote workers and what have you. Something else that New York is experiencing that's echoes kind of San Francisco has to do with the parklets. Kim, the restaurant parklets that they opened up.
I like the parklets in some areas, but not in all areas. Some parklets you're like, that's a bad spot for a parklet. But some you're like, this is great, right?
Well, in San Francisco, in New York, the Department of Transportation and its sister agencies have removed 238 what they call dining sheds from the city streets. They were because they were either abandoned or they had violations. And they're saying, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, said these COVID cabins, as he likes to say, need to be replaced with something better. And they need to rethink outdoor dining because the sheds were supposed to be temporary. I think there's a middle ground here. I think, just like you said, Kim, in some areas, especially if they're in parking lots, and you don't need the parking spaces necessarily, that they really work. But in San Francisco, there are some where I'm like, what? Somebody looks down at their phone for 30 seconds, which is a really long time, by the way.
It's all over.
But they're going to take out all of those because it's not wide enough. It's right next to the traffic. It could be a bit hairy to be like seated in one of these parklets and you hear the traffic just zooming by on another side of what? Plywood most of the time. That's it. So, but yeah, New York is experiencing a lot of what San Francisco has. But of course, San Francisco has been having a very tough time kind of coming out of this pandemic, unfortunately. And I don't know when we're really going to get back to normal. I think the headline was last week. Mayor London Breed is just really trying to revitalize San Francisco. And unless you can entice travel and tourists, because workers are not wanting to come back. I don't know what they're going to do with all that office space. I really,
well, you
really
saw the
don't.
story over the weekend or on Friday that even Salesforce and their new Salesforce tower is, cutting out 8 floors and leasing those out. So yeah, people aren't coming back. So you're right. Something has to change. And the number of businesses that were there to support all the workers in San Francisco, something has to give with that. And it's unfortunate that their business was, based on our business from being in the city, and that's gone through layoffs, through people working from home, through whatever.
It's a changing time. And I feel like there was a moment where we thought we were through the pandemic and the economy didn't take that big of a hit. It seems like it's getting really worse. You were mentioning earlier, I mean, interest rates are going to continue going up. They just are. They're going to try to fight this inflation. We were talking last week to Loretta Lynch, the former president of the CPUC, talking about, electric bills going up. I mean, it's as much as a car payment, if not more, for some people, just to keep the lights on. And I think the pain is going to continue, not just for these businesses, not just for city centers like San Francisco and the downtown, but in each of our homes. And it's sad. Let's kind of keep it on the crime junket right now. Did you hear about this woman? I have a picture of her, and the picture it's not the best picture for someone that's accused of a crime, but here she is. Now, this woman's name is Ellen Gilland. She is facing charges, but her charges have actually been reduced for shooting and killing her husband. But the twist in the story is her husband was terminally ill and they had a suicide pact, but she was not able to carry through her part after shooting and killing her husband.
Oh.
So this was, when did this happen? This was, I think, back in January, if not a little bit before. She was in the hospital with her husband, Jerry, who was 77 years old, again, had a terminal illness. Apparently they had this pact, had been in the works for weeks. So she shoots and she kills him. But was not able to then shoot herself. So she's in this standoff for 4 hours with police officers. They had to use a non-lethal explosive to distract her and take her into custody. Really a sad story. She was sitting beside the bed with her husband when 2 hospital workers who heard the gunshot came into the room. And she's just sitting there. And it's a really sad story. She pointed the gun at the hospital employees, told them to leave. And obviously, probably because she was still working up the nerve to do it, but just could not do it, understandably. And then did this whole standoff with police until finally they made the way into the room. I guess she fired a shot into the ceiling and then they took her into custody. But apparently they have reduced the charges that she's facing. Now, instead of facing first-degree murder, as was the initial charges, she is going to be charged with assisting self-murder or manslaughter and then aggravated assault of a law enforcement officer. What do you think? I mean,
I feel, I don't often feel sad for a killer because she killed her husband, right?
She killed her husband.
I feel bad for her. Yeah, I really do. I really feel,
you believe her. You believe that the reason why she did it is because he wanted to be put out of his misery.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not hard to find out. Did he or did he not have a terminal illness?
Well, he was in the hospital, I'm assuming, for a terminal illness. So, but still, you can't. Did you ever see, somebody was bringing this up in the chat, Dr. Kevorkian. Did you ever see the movie You Don't Know Jack?
No.
With Al Pacino. He plays Jack Kevorkian.
Right.
That movie, anybody in the comments seen it? You Don't Know Jack? About Jack Kevorkian? Completely changed how I viewed what Dr. Kevorkian did. Honestly, Al Pacino did an amazing job in it. I don't know if it was a movie or like a limited series type thing on television. I highly recommend you watch it. Very well done. I mean, we're talking about great acting going on here, but it was this whole idea of what he was trying to do, the rules for what he was trying to do, and the situations and the decisions that family members have to make when someone they love is in so much pain. I am not saying, I'm making very clear that you should get a gun and shoot somebody that has a terminal illness. That is not what I'm saying, but I can't understand the desperation and just how painful it must be for both people to be in a situation like that. It's so sad. Yeah. Bringing up Kim's favorite show, The Last of Us, episode 3 with those two men. Yeah, exactly.
I saw it last night.
Did you watch last night? I watched last night too. It was really good. Although there was a scene at the end where I'm like, oh, Kim's losing her mind with this scene. With the girl. Yes. It was really, really. I was like, this is
that wasn't the one. You know what it gets me, Nikki? What gets me is usually the ones where nothing happens, where they're in some old abandoned house and they're walking through and you fully expect something's going to happen and nothing does. They're really good at it. And even last night, they're good at what you think is going to happen and something completely different happens. They're very good at the flipping the script thing. Right.
Okay. I don't feel like I'm giving too much away here, but can we just have a quick debating like tough decisions?
Okay.
If you were starving, my husband and I were having this debate last night, watching the last episode of The Last of Us. If you were starving, okay, let's just say you know that people are dying. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you want your body to decompose or be used to feed people? It's the whole idea
feed
of
people, survive. I'm dead anyway. I'm gone.
Thank you.
But
my husband said that I was weird for some. I'm like, eat me. I'm like, please, what am I doing? I'm dead. Who cares?
Yeah.
You're starving. Feed people.
But I think you need to be aware that this is happening. In addition, it seems like maybe there's wildlife in the area. So maybe that didn't have to be such an option.
That's what my husband was saying. He's like, how long did it take her to find a deer? Right. I'm like, well, that was luck and maybe, a little heavenly intervention or something, a miracle, basically, that happened. I don't want to give too much away from the last episode of The Last of Us, but I'm just saying that, debate, that moral dilemma of, oh my God, are we eating people? Yes, you're starving. Oh no, just everybody die when there's literal meat all around you.
Yeah.
With little Chianti and fava beans or whatever the line is. I don't care. I know John's like, Donner, party of 5. It blows my mind that that's even a question. If I'm dead, I'm not doing anybody any good.
We had this discussion, Julia and my daughter Julia and I had this discussion because she's doing a report on the Donner Party.
Oh, that's fine.
And so in that context, we were talking about it. She's like, I would never eat people. And I said, listen,
you're so full of it. Come on now.
It's snowing. You're starving to death. There's nothing to eat. And there they are. Like, I mean, at some point your will to survive, I would imagine, kicks in and becomes more important than, right? You're going to die or you're going to die or eat people.
So then I was saying something about religion, like because always religion comes into, oh my God, it's against whatever religion. Right. And I made the joke, and don't come at me, it's a joke. But I'm like, didn't Jesus himself say, this is the bread, it is my body? Like, isn't that what we're supposed to be believing as Catholics? And don't come at me, Catholics, because it's in there. It's in there. I'm just saying, if I could keep somebody alive, that would be my greatest gift. And it should be decided from the friggin' get-go. Yeah. Like, who are we going to bury? Are we going to bury? No. Why are we burying food? Take the human out of it. The human is gone. It is now an animal with sustenance. I know this is kind of gross for some of you people, but I'm not giving any spoilers. But I'm just saying it is quite the moral debate that I was having last night. So
I love the discussions in your house. Next time, call me. I'd like to be in on that.
Yeah, it's just, I love that show though. There's only one more episode, so Kim's going to be finally put out of her misery of watching a show that makes her extremely uncomfortable, but that she's completely addicted to.
Oh, so, now I am. Now there's no way I can not watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. It's soon, my friend. I might just turn you over to watching more shows like this. You watched Game of Thrones. You said
Yeah,
you
I
would never
did.
watch Game of Thrones. You
Yeah.
watched The Last of Us.
I did it.
I think that you might be starting to learn what I love so much.
What have you done to me?
I know.
These shows are so violent and brutal, though. It's true. They
It
really
is.
are.
Yeah, but just accept it and move on and enjoy the ride, my friend. It's not real. It's just a TV show. So, and you're an adult. You're not a child. So there you go. All right, we're gonna do some news with Kim. We're gonna kind of keep it on the. Oh, I had this once. Maybe I'll fit it into. I want to talk a little bit about Chris Rock's special. Will Smith really trying to make amends, but I don't think Chris Rock is going to be taking his phone call anytime soon. I had a great moment with my child, my son. Yesterday, actually Saturday and Sunday. And it was all based on a conversation we had on the show on Friday. And I was really stoked about it. And it was just a highlight. So I'll share that with you. I do want to give some thank yous though, real quickly, because you guys have been really generous in the super chat. Thank you. Jim Slayton started us off with a $5 super sticker. I really appreciate you guys donating during the show because it's just fun. It's a fun way of doing it. We appreciate it. Any amount that you can give. Lady Beatrice, cheesy but still sweet. What were we talking about around 12:30? That was cheesy. $2 super sticker.
Was it cheerleading smiles?
Oh, probably. Oh no, I think it was the tattoo on the. I think it was Beckham's tattoo. That's what we were talking about.
Okay.
Sweet. Okay, there you go. Yeah, we were talking about the tattoos because Lady Beatrice says some dudes tattoo something from Star Wars. Others tattoo every lady they've been married to. Can we say possession? Very good. And thank you for the $5, Lady Beatrice. Oh, she's very generous today. Another $5 saying, I'd like to thank Wonder Woman and all the ladies in Star Wars who showed us ladies that were just as good as the dudes, if not better. Hell yeah. Oh my God. Lady Beatrice has been very generous. More from her. Another $5. It's time to remember the efforts of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh, for Women's History Month. Absolutely. I miss her like crap because she was fighting for us. Absolutely. And then another $5 donation from Lady Beatrice. I've heard of a winter wonderland, but this is ridiculous. I'm a little sorry for the people in LA because they don't have the experience with snow days. Yeah. When you don't have any reference point, what are they going to do? Pull out their flip-flops and their trunks and be like, I'm not ready for all this. So thank you, Lady Beatrice, for all of those donations to the super chat. Wes came in with a $5 super sticker as well. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you so much, you guys. I really do appreciate it. And I love all of the support.
Thank you.
So yeah, the super chat is still live. Again, you could donate to our Patreon and become a Medorable at the That's the Now some news. Okay?
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. Let's go to China for a little bit because China is now seen as the United States' greatest enemy. That according to a new Gallup poll showing 50% of respondents named China as America's greatest adversary today. Meanwhile, 32% said Russia, 7% North Korea viewed as the greatest enemy back in 2018. So how times have changed. 2 aircraft clipped wings near the gates at Boston's Logan International Airport this morning. A picture of it. Kind of see that. Oh, whoopsies. Nope. Yeah, that's what happened. United Flight 515 headed to Newark, New Jersey, and United Flight 267 bound for Denver, Colorado. Both canceled as a result of this one. Happened as the plane going to Newark pushed back from the gate. Oops. The search is on for whomever opened fire on an Oakland freeway. The California Highway Patrol believes this may be a case of road rage. Officers say a man in a white Nissan sedan apparently shot at another car yesterday morning on Interstate 880. There were 2 adults and a child in the southbound lanes near 5th Street. They did not get hit. Police say the suspect's car has paper plates. They are pleading for any witnesses to come forward. I'm saying enough with the shootings on freeways. Come on. In Santa Rosa, Montgomery High School reopening today. This is the memorial set up for a student stabbed there. The Kids are back on campus 5 days after an on-campus stabbing that claimed the life of a 16-year-old student. The boy stabbed while fighting a 15-year-old boy in an art class. Another student stabbed in the hand. Classes resuming now with concerns remaining about student security and safety, so there are police on campus today at Montgomery High. In an act of community solidarity and support, at least 100 people donated potted flowers to the Montgomery High School campus on Sunday. In Cupertino, a hiking trail closed after a pretty tragic accident. This happened over the weekend as well. The mother of a Boy Scout was with her son and other troop members yesterday when a tree fell right on top of her. It happened on the Stephen E. Abers Trail at Rancho San Antonio County Park in Cupertino, about 3 miles from the parking lot. Bystanders tried to help by lifting that tree up. They just couldn't do it. Firefighters were successful a short time later, but that woman still died at the scene. Unbelievable. Sad, sad story. You may remember him. His name is Ben Savage. He is from the Boy Meets World. Yeah. He's running for Congress.
Fred Savage is a nutcase, but yeah. There you go.
This is Ben Savage. He is running for Congress in Southern California. The actor announcing his bid on social media. Am I getting the picture wrong? Is that Fred or Ben? I don't know.
That's Ben. That's Ben. That's not
Ben.
Fred.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the actor announcing his bid on social media, saying it's time to restore faith in government. He is running for Democrat Adam Schiff's seat to represent the state's 30th congressional district. It includes West Hollywood, Burbank, and parts of Pasadena. Savage has tried and failed to get into politics in the past. Last year, he ran for the West Hollywood City Council and lost. So we'll see how he does this time.
You think that with someone like because he has obvious name recognition just from his acting. Is he a Republican or a Democrat?
I don't know what he is.
I mean, not that it matters. I mean, whatever. He can run for whatever he wants. No, that's Ben Savage. Fred Savage has had all kinds of bad publicity come out. Fred Savage was from the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
And then Ben Savage is what? Boy Meets World.
Boy Meets World. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to get them confused.
No, Fred looks way douchier than Ben Savage. I'm telling you. Hold on, let me see if I can.
I'm trying to find what party will run as a Democrat.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Here, let me show you a picture of Fred. Now, Fred had there were allegations that even when he was kicked off the Wonder Years reboot.
Right.
Because he was such a douchebag about it.
A little handsy. Yeah.
He was handsy. I heard that he was also really aggressive and mean. So it's not downloading. It doesn't matter. You know who Fred Savage is. But yeah, it was bad publicity. He also, on Boy Meets World, he played a character that got handsy with somebody and then tried to lie about it. And so, yeah, he plays Fred Savage does play a good bad guy, though. I'll tell, as far as his acting goes.
While he was starring on, was it the spinoff Girl Meets World?
Oh, okay.
He graduated with a degree from Stanford in political science. Nice. So he's been into politics for a really long time. And as part of his studies at Stanford, he had a political internship with then Senator Arlen Specter in Pennsylvania, who was a Republican, but he'll be running as a Democrat. I will say this actor is the younger brother of actor and director Fred Savage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the less douchey one. That's in tiny print underneath all of it.
I'm sorry. Did you already say they were brothers? I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
It's okay.
My bad. I'm sorry. Let's talk about this case.
Aww.
Bruce Willis's wife is asking the paparazzi, don't yell at him when they see him in public. Just don't do it. Emma Hemming Willis making the plea in a video posted on Instagram over the weekend. She said people need to be more educated about those living with dementia. His wife said she knows the job of photographers is to get exclusive, but she asked them to keep their space from him. She said the woohooing and the yippee-ki-yays just don't do it. They confuse him. It comes after the Willis family recently announced his speaking disorder had progressed into a form of dementia. So they take him out for coffee or whatever, and people are screaming, hey, Bruce, woohoo, yippee-ki-yay. And I guess it's really freaking him out. So they can't go out and take him anywhere or do anything without it being made worse by all the people hollering at him.
Oh, I love Bruce Willis. That makes me so sad. Leave the guy alone. I know it's like human nature. Oh my God, that's Bruce Willis. But understand what he's going through, and that sucks.
I mean, doesn't everyone have to go, okay, take a beat? Even if you're paparazzi and it's your whole point is to get a picture, Bruce Willis now becomes off limits.
Yeah.
He's going through something. We all know he's going through something.
Yeah.
Let him be. Leave him be.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
March 10th may be observed as, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
National Sugar Daddy Day.
Ha! Where's my sugar daddy?
National Sugar Daddy Sugar Mama Appreciation Day, I should say. In a video posted online, this young woman identifying herself as Ashley Cream informed attendees at a recent local board meeting in Boca Raton, Florida, that it is now home to the largest per capita population of sugar daddies in the United States. She went on to point out that Sugar Daddy Mommy Appreciation Day would honor those who have given so much to help support the local economy.
Wow. Well, it's a living, I guess, if you want to be a sugar daddy. Or what do you call someone that is taken care of by the sugar daddy?
Sugar kid? Sugar.
Like, what is there a name for that?
Sugar daughter?
Kim's like, can I get a sugar daddy that looks like George Clooney, please?
Giant hoe, perhaps? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
that's politically incorrect.
Sometimes I hear like you don't even have to have sex with these guys. It's just they want companionship because they're so lonely.
I think you have to have sex with them.
Maybe.
I think that's part of the sugar
Maybe get a little handsy or something.
They're paying you for sex. They're signing you up for an apartment and paying for it because they're getting a little something.
Yeah, or they just want that woman on their arm, matters. I think it matters the sugar daddy, right? I mean, it matters, if you have a virile sugar daddy, I'm sure you have to do a lot more than just a guy that wants companionship, which I think everyone's hoping for the companionship and not the virile one.
I thought a sugar daddy was married to someone else and you were like the woman on the side. Or maybe it's just an arrangement where they'll pay you for whatever.
I think it's just you have to be at their beck and call. I bet you they have to. I mean, I don't know if this is true. I'm not a sugar bond or whatever the hell you guys are calling them. But I would assume you have to look a certain way. You have to keep yourself. Sure. I'm sure you have to be of a certain age.
Right.
You have to make him look good in whatever way he thinks makes him look good. So whatever that is. And I'm sure it might be different. You know where else I heard it's very popular for these sugar daddies? Dubai.
Vegas? Oh, Dubai. Okay.
Yeah. If you're young and hot, go to Dubai. There's plenty of men that'll just take care of you.
Like, really, that's your lot in life? Like, you're so... I get that people need to survive, but don't you want to do something with your life rather than just have some guy pay?
Why are you doing anything with your life? I mean, isn't it, of course, to live in the lap of luxury? I don't know. I'm just kidding. That's a joke, people. But some people, look, I have known people in my life who that is their aspiration, is just to be taken care of. They have no desire to work hard. They don't want to work hard. They want to be taken care of by someone. But I think that you also then, on one hand, and this is just my opinion, on one hand, you are giving that person so much control over your life because if you have no skills, if you have no job, if all you are is kept, whether it's a man or a woman, if they leave your ass, you're up a creek. And if they're cheating on you, you got to deal with it. You better hope they love and just want to take care of you. Because otherwise, what's going to happen if, God forbid, they leave you, or God forbid they die? Who says they're going to leave everything to you? I don't know. I would want a little bit of.
And you better save your money because eventually you're going to age out, right?
Possibly. Exactly. They might
and
want
then what do you do?
Sugar baby, as Kim says, they're called sugar babies. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't understand why a person wouldn't want to be a contributing member of society. Why?
It's way easier to keep your ass in bed all day, Kim, and eat bonbons and live the lap of luxury. Is it really that hard of a stretch to figure out why some people are that lazy? I don't want to work. That's what they say. I don't want to work. I want you to pay for everything. I want to drive nice cars. You pay for my nails to be done, and I'll give you whatever you want sexually. That's probably how it goes. Not that hard.
Yeah, Mindy says that beauty gets to sit by the pool and drink margaritas and look gorgeous.
I mean, it's not that
Sounds
hard.
good.
Kim's like, why would you not want to be a contributing member of society? Because it's work, woman. It's called work. People don't want to work.
I can't imagine. I mean, that would be humiliating to me. That I would be very embarrassed if that was my goal. You know,
I'm sure some people are like,
Mom, Dad, I've
I'll
decided
totally
I'd rather be taken care of by some old dude.
Well, you know what? Some people would call sleeping with an old dude work. Some people would say that's work, right?
Apparently, Ashley Cream is all in favor. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, Steve Moskowitz is the one to call. He is at 888-TAX-DEAL and at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Yes, and give Steve a call. It is tax season. We were hoping to get him on the show. Well, he might be able to call in the last 10 minutes or so of the show. But, you know, he answers all of your questions with ERC. The difference between Steve and some of these other places, and you will find this if you even look at other tax attorneys, tax preparers, those sorts of things, is there's an amount of work. Like we were just talking about work. There's the amount of work that some people want to do, and there's the amount of work that some people don't want to do. And Steve Moskowitz and his team will do the harder work, the work that takes more time and paperwork and expertise. These other places are like, you know what? I don't even want to take the time or the energy. There's all these other people I could take care of. So if you want someone that's willing to put in the extra hours and the extra work to make sure that you're getting the money you deserve, the protection you deserve, give Steve a call at 888-TAX-DEAL or moskowitzllp.com and tell him that the Nikki Medoro Show sent you. It really helps us out knowing that we've sent you there. And tell your friends all about what he can do for you. All right. We have time. Let's get into a little bit of Chris Rock. So I wasn't able to see his new special. It's on Netflix. We might watch it tonight. We'll see if we have time. I don't know if my husband's going to have time to watch it tonight with me, and I promise I would watch it with him. It's called Selective Outrage. And I guess it's in the last 8 or 10 minutes of the special where Rock finally fully addresses the slap. And he really takes Will Smith to task, Jada Pinkett Smith to task, basically saying that Will Smith attacked him because he was so upset about Jada Pinkett Smith's very public affair with one of her son's friends, and Will just kind of accepting it. And remember the whole open marriage thing and what have you. You know, I think that, and we said this when it happened, the amount of restraint that it took for Will Smith to continue standing on that stage after being publicly humiliated was huge. To not slap him at the least back, to kind of take, I mean, there are so many of you in the comments that were saying, I thought it was part of the skit. And apparently Will Smith just gave another interview to People and said he's felt terrible for so long about the slap. He's tried unsuccessfully to make amends in the best way he could. But beyond that, family is important to him. And Smith leaned on the family in the aftermath, and it's helped him look inside and mature. He says he's better, but still remorseful. Here's a question. Do you think Chris Rock should forgive him? After it's been a year, it'll be a year this weekend because the Oscars are this weekend. Do you think that he should forgive him after a year?
Well, I think that if you don't forgive someone and you're hanging on to anger, that can be more of a weight on you, right? So you're carrying all this with you and you're damaging yourself. You're hurting yourself more than you're hurting the other person. So sure, forgive the guy. Go ahead and you know, lighten your load and make it easier on yourself. But that doesn't mean you trust him anymore.
Well, yeah.
You know?
And I don't know what the relationship was before this between them. I'm sure they knew each other. Apparently, I think he says this in his special. He says, people are asking me, did it hurt? He's all, it still hurts. And he says he didn't fight back against Smith because of a lesson from his parents. You don't fight in front of white people, which of course is good. But,
really?
Well,
why?
Black people don't fight. It's a joke, Kim. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
is it a joke?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I
I think that was
don't
part
know.
of his special. I think that was part of his special. I could be
Oh,
wrong
okay.
about that. He talked about Meghan Markle in it. Yeah, I think he's still pissed. Look, the truth of the matter is, even though Chris Rock was the good guy and Will Smith was the bad guy in this, right? God, that humiliation. I'm embarrassed for him still.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do if somebody slapped me on such a public stage. It's one thing if it was, in a stand-up comedy club. You're on the friggin' Oscars. I'm standing in a tuxedo, and you come up here like we're in the back alley, and you smack the crap out of me, and I don't respond. Oh my God, I'd be pissed.
Don't you think he did the perfect response, which is really not fighting back? He looked like the classier person. Like, what are you doing, dude? What? He just looked like bewildered. Like, what is even happening? And I think that was the response that most of America had too. So we were all in the same boat with him.
Yeah, it's a lot of you are asking if I watched that Bel Air, that reboot. I think it's like a TV series. I haven't watched it. Is it good? I heard it kind of was a darker one of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, but I have not watched it yet. David does not buy any of Will Smith's apologies. I don't think there's an ounce of genuine sincerity in any of Will Smith's various apologies. That from David. Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm curious though if they're going to make any sort of reference to the slap during the Oscars. I say they won't. Like, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole because you're going to bring up all sorts of. But will it look different? Because
it's Jimmy Kimmel. Like, he has to say something.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, he has to. It's like the elephant in the room. He'll have to address it. He'll have to say, keep your hands to yourself this year. Even if that's all he says, at least it's like, okay, acknowledge and move on. Yeah. Acknowledge and move on. Done. Go. Embarrassed for him. He was fantastic and so funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Am I back? I was kind of glitchy there for a second. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, apparently it was only glitchy to me.
I thought we were reading the text. I was like, I don't know what we're doing right now.
You were. So yeah, I'll watch the Chris Rock special. We'll see what happens this weekend. Tim Sika will be on with us on Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. And real quickly, before the end of the show, on last Friday, when we were talking about movies, Tim Sika had reviewed Creed 3. Remember?
Yeah.
Now, Creed is an offshoot of Rocky, which I was saying in my family, especially. The Rocky movies are just gold to us, except Rocky 5 and then anything after that. But my son added the freaking blue. I even asked him, I'm like, did you watch my show from Friday? Because we were looking for something to watch together Saturday night. And he's like, let's watch Rocky. And then I remembered my son's really been into working out lately. So maybe, I don't know, some sort of Rocky. And I got him this robe and I always call him Rocky and he has no point of reference. So we watched Rocky 1. And then last night we finished watching Rocky 2.
Okay.
I mean, my husband was just laughing at me because I am just so into it. And I was so excited to share this. Like, it's a tradition in my family to watch Rocky. I even texted my parents and my brother. I'm like, Dylan
he loves it.
Rocky. And I am so excited right now to share, and especially Rocky 2. Like, Rocky 1 was awesome, but Rocky 2, and I'm not going to say spoiler alert since it's been out for decades.
Right.
But when Rocky wins, because he does not win in Rocky 1, when Rocky wins in Rocky 2, I mean, the reaction from my son, it just warmed my heart so much. I was so excited. So now we have to watch 3 and 4. And then I told him, then we'll start the Creed movies because I don't particularly care for any of the ones after that. So
I will say the news about Creed 3 today is that it's a major box office hit. I don't know if you saw this. The third installment of the franchise made over $58 million in its weekend debut in North America. Globally, the film has already brought in more than $100 million. So whether the critics like Creed 3 or not, people do, and they're going to see it big time.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I want to go see it, but I told my son, I was like, let's just wait. We'll start watching Creed 1. So we have to watch Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. And then I'm done with Rocky. And then we'll go to Creeds because I just love it. Andreas is here. Gave us $20 in the super chat.
Nice.
I owe you something, Andreas. So I'm going to do it right now. It's a belated one. I wanted to do this for you on Friday, but I know that you've been busy with your family and everything, but it was your birthday. And I promised I would sing you happy birthday. Kim, you have to join me because happy birthday is the hardest song in the whole entire world to sing.
Are we doing the jazzy stepped up version or are we
doing the traditional one?
Let's go traditional.
I think traditional. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2. Oh, wait. And we're also going to do Andreas and Sue-Ann because Suzanne's birthday is today.
Sue-Ann, not Suzanne.
No, Sue-Ann.
Sue-Ann, yeah.
Sue-Ann. 1 and 2 and
happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Andreas and Sue-Ann.
Happy birthday to you. Gave a little bit of Marilyn Monroe right there. Cha cha cha.
I loved it. I had to stop singing because my voice was cutting out your voice, so I don't know what's happening. But happy birthday, Sue-Ann. Happy birthday, Andreas. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much for the support. Yeah. Andreas also gave us $20. Suzanne gave us a huge donation on PayPal. If you'd like to donate to our PayPal, TheNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. That is where you go. Please consider being a monthly subscriber to our Patreon. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is where you find the link for that. Give us a thumbs up. And of course, buy some merch if you want to. That's another great way of supporting the show. TheNikkiMedoroShop.com. I love you all. I will talk with all of you tomorrow. Have a fabulous day and bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.